I moved out of my parents' house when I was 19 years old, and in hindsight, that was way too young. I didn't know what I was doing. I was way too young to move out of my parents' house. So let me tell you now, as your big sister, because I'm now 27 years old, I have lived, I have learned, I have made the mistakes, I've wasted the money. Let me tell you the things that I wish I knew when I moved out of my parents' house. If you're planning on moving out of your parents' house anytime soon, this can be a really, really exciting time, and congratulations for one, but also you don't know everything as much as you think you know everything. You probably don't. So please listen to these tips. Let's just get straight into it. The most important thing is knowing what bills to pay, and I'm talking about what the bill is, how much it is, and exactly what day of the month it is going to be coming out of your bank account. This is so important to keep on top of. I would honestly just recommend putting everything in a calendar. Write it down in a calendar, the amount, the bill, and the day that is going to be coming out of your bank account. This is so important to keep on top of. And also the level of importance, because council tax is honestly right up there. That is the most important bill, in my personal opinion, in my experience. It's the most important bill, because if you don't pay your council tax, the council will literally come for you. They're not going to let you get away with it. You literally can't get away with not paying your council tax. So that is up there with the most important. And I would also say rent is also incredibly important. Obviously, you don't want to miss any rent payments, but honestly, it depends who your landlord is. They might be a little bit nicer. They might let you kind of make a few late payments here and there. But honestly, I'm not going to suggest that. I'm not going to suggest risking making late payments. But it just depends who your landlord is. They might be a little bit more forgiving in that area. And then obviously you've got your Wi-Fi, your electric, and your broadband. These are kind of secondary importance in my opinion. Obviously you still need to pay them, but if you miss a payment, it's not the end of the world, and you can generally just pay it at a later date, and you can catch up quite easily. They're not actually gonna come to your door and like try and take money off you like the council might do. Point number 2, if you're moving out of your parents' house into a rental, the landlord will fuck you over at any given moment. You just have to keep that in mind. Your landlord can decide to evict you if they want to for whatever reason, and also they will try and take as much money from you as they possibly can. And I'm talking about your deposit. When you first move out and you rent a property, you pay a deposit, and then you get the deposit back when you leave. Now, the landlord will try and take that deposit from you if there's any sign of damage. If there's literally a scratch on the wall, if you've damaged literally anything, they will try and claim that, and they will take the money out of your deposit, which is why I always suggest going through the DPS. This is the Deposit Protection Service, and they are there completely impartial. They are there as a fair person in the middle to make sure that you're not getting ripped off. You know, you actually, if you have damaged anything, that you're paying exactly what the damage costs, and you're not getting ripped off by your landlord. Leading on from this point, try to minimize any damage in the property. Obviously, if you are renting, it's not your property, you don't own it. The entire time that you are living in a rental property, try and minimize as much damage as possible. Try not to put any holes in the wall. Try not to literally scratch anything, chip anything, because they will try and take money from you when you leave. So really try and minimize the damage, and you should hopefully get your whole deposit back when you leave. I would also suggest taking pictures before you move in of anything that is already damaged, and also taking pictures once you've moved out, because they also take pictures. But don't just rely on them. Take your own pictures as well as having their pictures, and you've got a little bit of backup there. My next point is, if you are moving in with somebody different, or if you are moving in with a partner, try and figure out what your roles are in the household. I'm talking about all the chores, the cooking and the cleaning, who does what, who deals with the finances, are you going to have a joint bank account, things like that you need to talk about before you move in, because if you move in and you haven't already sorted that out, it can literally go horribly wrong. It can go horribly wrong, trust me. So try and figure that out before you move in with someone, exactly what your roles in the household are going to be. I would also suggest before you move out to build up a bit of an emergency fund, because you will need money when you move in for extra things. You're going to need money for furniture, for things that, you know, all over the home. If this is your first time moving out, you've probably got nothing and you literally need to build your home from scratch, everything in your kitchen, all your furniture. So please make sure you've got a bit of an emergency fund so you have the money to kind of buy the bits that you need. And this leads me on to my next point about buying furniture. Now, you do not need to get brand new furniture the first time you move out. Honestly, your home is not going to look how you want it to look for a very, very long time. You're just going to be picking bits up here and there and building your home as you go. It's not going to be a finished space straight away. When I first moved out, I took my bed that I had at my parents' house already. I took that with me to my new flat, and we also took we got a sofa for free, I think, from my boyfriend at the time's parents. They gave us a free sofa. It was tiny. It was like a 2-seater sofa. It was incredibly ugly, but we had a sofa and a bed for free that we already that we didn't have to pay for, basically. But I would also suggest going on Facebook Marketplace. You can get a lot of free things, or a lot of things for cheap secondhand. Charity shops are really good as well for cheap secondhand things. You can, if you want to, buy new. Eventually, I think after a couple of years, I did end up buying a new sofa and a new bed that I bought on finance, which is fine if you can afford it. If you know you can pay it back, then that's also a good option. But I probably wouldn't recommend doing that straight away, not as soon as you move out, but you know, see what you can kind of get for cheap and for free at first, and then you can build on it. You can get rid of your old things and you can buy new things later on. It's also really important to write a list of everything that you need, and I'm talking about things that you actually need, not cushions, not blankets, not candles here and there. I know you really want to make your first home look homely, you want it to be cozy, and of course you can buy some of those things, but I would always suggest first, the most important thing first is to write a list of things that you actually need, all your kitchen stuff, your pots and pans, your cutlery, obviously any furniture as well, any kind of storage space, storage units, drawers and things like that you're going to need to, like, practical things really. I'm talking about practical things, guys. You don't need loads of decorative things as soon as you move into a new apartment for the first time, but it's definitely something that you can build up. So definitely write a list of the things that you absolutely need as essentials first. This leads me on to my last point. Ask your parents, guys. Just ask your parents anything that you don't already know. I'm literally talking about how to use the washing machine, how to use the dishwasher, how to look after your car, because for a very long time when I lived at home with my parents, my dad would look after my car. He would literally do everything for the car, and I literally didn't need to think about it. And then I moved out, and then I moved halfway across the country, and he couldn't help me anymore, and it was all on me, and I had to figure it out myself when I didn't really know what I was doing. So honestly, yeah, that's on me. That's on being a little bit, maybe being a little bit silly, being a little bit ignorant. But you know, when you've got your parents to rely on for things, you don't really think about, you know, learning how to cook until you've moved out and, oh, wait a minute, I actually do have to cook for myself. Nobody's going to cook for me anymore. So definitely ask your parents to teach you things before you move out, because it's gonna be so useful for you. If you're moving out of your parents' house soon, it can be so exciting. You can get wrapped up in all the excitement of it, but you need to take into account the sensible things. Basically, you have to be a grown-up now. That's the thing. You've got to be a grown-up. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to feed yourself. You've got to wash your clothes. You've got to, like, stay on top of the household. It's exciting, but it's also a huge responsibility. So these were the things that I wish I knew when I moved out of my parents' house, and I really hope you can take something from this as well. Also, let me know in the comments if you have any other tips, if you have any questions. Please do let me know in the comments. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for more money content.